And I find that very interesting. So afterwards they analyzed the landing site, and they found indentions in the ground in the shape of a triangle, scorch marks on the sides of the trees, and radiation levels that UK's Ministry of Defence assessed as being significantly higher than the average background. This craft was briefly tracked on military radar, so it wasn't just eyewitnesses, it was caught on radar. Anyway, so let me move on here. So I'm going to read this part. So it is worth quoting the assessment of Lord Hill Norton on this point. Lord Hill Norton, Lord I believe means he's been knighted by the Queen. Or maybe that's Sir, I'm sorry. It's Sir is knighted by the Queen. But anyway, he's called Lord. Lord Hill Norton was a 5-star admiral with the British Royal Navy. And he was also former chief of the defense staff, and a former chairman of NATO's military committee. So this guy's legit. If your name is Lord, and you're a 5-star admiral, and you're chief of the defense staff, and chairman of NATO's military committee, you're legit. Anyway, so the chief of defense staff is the equivalent to the U.S. post of chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Again, I'm not trying to ramble on or harp on this, but the guy's legit. So this is what he said. He was quoted as saying, "My position, both privately and publicly, expressed over the last dozen years or more, is that there are only two possibilities." He's talking about Rendlesham Forest incident. Either A, an intrusion into our airspace and a landing by an unidentified craft took place at Rendlesham, or the deputy commander of an operational nuclear-armed U.S. Air Force Base in England and a large number of his enlisted men were either hallucinating or lying. Okay, so if you get to be the deputy commander of a nuclear-armed U.S. Air Force Base, you're probably not a crackpot. And it would be extremely difficult to believe that this deputy commander and a large group of enlisted men, and I'm not talking about 18-year-old privates, I'm talking about the majority of the witnesses were sergeants, which means they've been in for quite a while. You're not a sergeant after 2 years. I don't know exactly how it works, but, you're certainly not a sergeant after 2 years in. So you go in at 18, you're not a sergeant at 20. So they weren't hallucinating or lying. So the only other option, and this is coming from the 5-star admiral, is that there was an intrusion into this military airspace of a nuclear base and a landing by an unidentified craft. Okay, even if that was the case, even if it was a civilian aircraft that landed, well, where was it? All the witnesses, all the Air Force personnel said it flew away. So it hovered straight down and landed in the forest, and then it hovered straight up and took off. But if it was a crashed civilian aircraft, it would still be there. And the military would more than gladly show us this craft so that we would all stop asking questions about it. Anyway, so that's Rendlesham Forest. I could go on and on about it, but it's one of my favorites. I keep saying that every story I tell you, I say is one of my favorite stories. And by the way, I probably shouldn't even say story because it sounds like I'm telling a story. These are actual incidents that really happened, that were witnessed by dozens or hundreds or thousands of people. Some of them were videotaped. So I just say the word story, but they're not stories. They're factual events. Now, I can't say for an absolute fact that it was an alien aircraft. What I'm saying is, it is a fact that this aircraft flew over these bases, was tracked on radar, landed without crashing in the forest, was seen by many witnesses, and hovered away and flew away at a high rate of speed. Went from one base to another, which were miles apart, in 1 second. At the very least, it's a fact that these credible witnesses said this. As far as like the flying away in 1 second and stuff like that, that's not a fact, but it is a fact that somebody said it and said that they saw it. So I hope you can still hear me, because I got some kind of error message. Anyway, so somebody wrote me on Facebook, a lady in Nashville, and asked me if I would talk about the Kecksburg crash in Pennsylvania. Again, if you're a fanatic like me, you've probably heard of it. That is definitely on my list of things to talk about. I just have to choose a topic every week. I want to talk more about the U.S. presidents, world leaders, Roswell. I'm saving Roswell because that's like the best. And ancient artwork, alien artwork. You know what I'm talking about. The picture of Jesus on the cross and there's a UFO flying above him, or the Virgin Mary sitting over here and there's a UFO shining a beam down on her. My favorite one is the one of this craft flying over this, paint. I don't even remember what the painting is, but up above in the sky is this craft, and there's a guy sitting in it. You could see him. Doesn't look like a human either. And it's like, what were these people looking at? Why would you paint a picture of, I'm just making this part up. Why would you paint a picture of the Roman Colosseum and then put a guy in an alien spaceship flying over it? It just doesn't fit. It doesn't make any sense. So I'm going to talk about Mars, quite a bit about Mars, quite a bit about the moon, the dark side of the moon, what the astronauts who landed on the moon, some of the things they said, the lost 2 minutes when they were talking about they're watching us. There's a ship on the edge of the crater. It is absolutely huge. But yes, I'll talk about Majestic 12, Project Blue Book, Bob Lazar, and I definitely want to talk about the Kecksburg crash. So this episode is a little shorter than the last one, but I'm done talking and I don't want to ramble on. I really appreciate you guys listening. And if you check out my website, I'm just going to be the first to tell you, it's up, but I haven't done a lot with it. I'm doing one step at a time. But the website is www.alienmovement.org. Twitter at alienmovement1, the number 1. Facebook at alienmovement.org. Spreaker, just type in Alien Movement. Patreon, type in Alien Movement if you want to sponsor me. And YouTube, I have my own channel, Alien Movement. So I really appreciate you guys listening, and I appreciate all the support. I've got so many nice messages on Facebook. Some people have emailed me. I've got a sponsor on Patreon, and a lot of likes on Twitter and Facebook. So I'm really excited about it, and I know we're going to grow together. And I will be back on Monday at 8 o'clock. My plan is Monday and Wednesday next week at 8 o'clock. Please write me. I will write you back. If you want me to say your name on the air, I will. The lady in Nashville that asked about Kecksburg didn't really say one way or the other, but I didn't want to say her name unless she writes me back. But just write me and I'll write you back. If you have ideas for a show, I would love to listen to it. I'll do research and I'll do my best. And you can certainly write me notes and stuff while I'm doing the show, and I'll read them live. Anyway, I'm rambling on, so I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. I know it's only Wednesday, but I won't talk to you again until Monday, so have a wonderful weekend. And Talk to you Monday, and welcome to the movement.
Thank you.